What's up, you guys? It is Mariah and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are returning, hey. So over here on my channel we talk about all things Disney planning tips and tricks because I am a travel agent specializing in Disney destinations. And for today's video we are going to be talking about Run Disney. Whoop whoop. So yes, today we're just going to be doing a little bit of an overview of the races, whether it's good for people who are non-runners or not, and just some tips and tricks that you can utilize after you have registered for your race and everything. And yeah, just some things that you need to be aware of before you run your Disney race, whether it's your first or not. And before we get into it, be sure to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that bell notification so that you can be notified whenever I do post a new video. You don't want to miss all of the planning and advice that I have for you guys. And so let's go ahead and get into it. In today's video, I figured I would sport my half marathon shirt from Marathon Weekend in 2018. I ran the Walt Disney World half marathon during the Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend, and it was my first Run Disney race, and it was my first half marathon ever. So lots of firsts there, and it was challenging but very fun. And we're going to get into some of the specifics and overview and things like that. And so yes, after you have registered for your Disney race, I'll just I won't be giving like exact prices because prices do vary by race and which weekend you're doing. You could be doing Wine and Dine weekend, you could be doing Princess Half Marathon weekend, you could be doing Marathon weekend, you could be doing Star Wars Marathon weekend. Yeah, so there's a lot of choices, and so the prices will vary. I will say that typically the half marathons, I do know right off the top of my head, will be around $200 for registration, and that will include tax and everything like that. And of course, you know, the 10K and 5K are less expensive. If you do a marathon, that's more expensive. If you do one of the challenges, that's more expensive. So you could do, you know, during the Princess Half Marathon Weekend, I believe you can do the Fairy Tale Challenge, which is doing the 10K and the half. They don't have a marathon during that weekend, but there are certain challenges, like during Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend, they have what's called the Dopey Challenge, where you run all 4 races, 5K, 10K, half, and full marathon, which is crazy. I have a lot of friends that did that, and yeah, they are rock stars. But that, you know, doing something like that is very expensive. I believe it's over $500 to sign up for a Dopey Challenge. So just keep that in mind. I will start with the Expo a couple of days before the actual race. They will have the Expo available for you to attend, and you will need to attend it because that's where you will need to pick up your bib and all of that. So they will ask you to obviously be sure to bring with you like your ID and your liability waiver. You have to have a signed liability waiver. You bring it there, and when you go to the Expo, you give them your, at the designated spot, depending on the race that you're doing, they will have designated areas for like the half marathon, for challenges, for whatever, and you'll go to the appropriate station, the appropriate area within the Wild World Sports Complex, which is where the expos are. So you'll head over there and you'll know, they'll give you instructions and things like that, of where you'll need to go, what building you go to, whatever. But you will hand them, when you get in your designated station and your designated line, you will hand them your liability waiver, and you will get your bag of goodies, and in that bag you will have like your free t-shirt that they give you. I got a dry fit long sleeve shirt for the half marathon weekend, probably because it's in January, but whatever it is, they'll give you like a free shirt and some goodies in there, as well as your bib. So that's important. You'll get your bib and the clothespins, the pins to pin it on your costume or shirt, whatever, on the day of the race. So you'll get all of that. If you purchase the race retreat option for your race, then you'll be able to use the clear bag that they give you to store a lot of the items that you might need after your race, but not necessarily during. You don't want to lug everything when you're running. Then you can use that clear bag and check it in with Disney staff for safekeeping. I think you can check it in regardless of whether or not you have race or treat. If that's true, leave me a comment below and let me know if you are a veteran at this. But yeah, either way, you can use the clear bag to check in your items with Disney staff, and after the race you can just check it back out and you can retrieve everything. And while we're on the topic of race retreat, that's an added cost, of course, so you'll pay for race retreat, but it will be a heated or cooled tent depending on the weather. If it's cold outside, it'll be warm. If it's hot outside, it will be cool. It's just a place that you can hang out, and they'll have food and water and bathrooms and all of that that you can utilize before and after the race. And they will also have, that's a lot of fun. We did our race retreat the last time we ran, and they also had characters for you to meet and things like that, so it's really fun. I would definitely highly recommend it. It came really in handy when we ran the half marathon, because it was unprecedented cold when we ran. It was when a cold front came through Florida. Even Floridians were like, yeah, this is not normal for Florida. It was super cold. It was like, I remember here in North Carolina during that time, it was in the negatives, which we hardly ever get that type of weather. So you can just imagine, you know, the type of impact that cold front had. But anyway, it was good because it was warm in the tent, and we could, you know, thaw out before we went out into the cold and ran the race. So it was very handy. If you are staying on Disney property, they will have buses that will transport you from your resorts to where you need to be to load up into your corrals, and those buses will start running around 3:30 a.m. Yeah, it's early. It's early. They do pick up at all of the Disney resorts on property, including the Swan and Dolphin. And just so you know, the races don't actually start until 5:30. So you will be up pretty early to be trying to get to where you need to be into your corrals before the race starts. Officially at 5:30, so you'll have some time gap in there. And once you get there, and if you have the race retreat, then that's when you will go into the race retreat until it's time for them to start loading corrals. And what a corral is just a group of people. They name their corrals by letters, so A, B, C, D, E, F, all of that. And the corrals, the way you get assigned a corral, it'll be on your bib, so it'll already be pre-assigned before you even get there. But how they do that is when you register, and you have, if you've submitted a race time, so if you're running a half marathon, you can submit like a 10K or a half marathon race time. And based off the time that you finished in that other race, whatever race that was, they will put you in a group of people called a corral based on your time, based off of, and so in your corral, you will have people who have had a similar finish time as you in their races that they submitted for registration. If you don't submit any proof of a finish time or anything like that, or of a, you know, a personal time that you have in another race, then you will automatically be placed in the last corral. So yes, that's just something to keep in mind. If you want to move up in corral, you will have to submit a time in order to do that. And basically the advantage of being in a higher up corral, which is A would be the people who are the fastest, then those are the people who get to start the race first. So I said the race starts at 5:30, but that's only for corral A, and they let people go based off of corrals. They will let people start in increments, is what I'm basically trying to say. So they'll let corral A start at 5:30, and then after a certain amount of time, they'll let corral B start, and then C, and then so on and so forth. So if you're running this race with friends, just as a note, you cannot skip ahead a corral. So if you're in corral D, you can't try to get in corral C with your friend who's in corral C. But your friend in corral C can move back and be in corral D with you. So you can't move up a corral, but you can always move down if you have friends who are in corrals that are lower than you. And a thing with buses and corral, if you are in corral A or close to it, like B or A maybe, and you're staying in a resort that is far away from where the start line is, wherever the starting point is of the race, then I would highly recommend you getting on the bus as early as possible. They start running at 3:30, so you might want to get on your bus at 3:30 or close to it, so that you can be sure that you don't miss it, because you're going to be the first people to go, to be able to be let, you know, to be able to start the race at 5:30. So you definitely want to be sure you're obviously on time. And honestly, regardless of what corral you're in, if you are staying at a faraway resort from where the starting point is of the race, then you might want to consider, regardless of what corral you're in, you definitely want to be sure that you're on time and that you get on the buses as early as you can. And here's a tip, if that's the case for you, if you know you're in corral A or corral B, be sure when you're planning your trip to stay at a resort that is close to where the starting point is. So if you're doing a race that starts at Epcot, then you might want to consider staying at an Epcot area resort, like the Boardwalk or Yacht and Beach Club or something like that. And that way you know that the time that it'll take to get from your resort to the starting point is not going to be long, so it gives you some leeway to work with in case something happens and you're running late. But it gives you leeway so that you don't miss your start time. All right, now you're loaded up in your corral and you're ready to go. So if it's cold when you run, let's say they'll give you what's called Mylar blankets, and it's just something you can put over you to keep you warm. But by the time you get to the point where your corral is going and you're starting, you have to get rid of your Mylar blanket before you cross the start line, or else your time will be like disqualified, so you don't want to do that. But you'll see people will just throw them to the side and they recycle them, I think. And you can also buy throwaway clothes, like you could buy a throwaway jacket if you want. I know people that have done that buy like a jacket, like a cheap jacket specifically to keep them warm before the race. But then they'll take it off and throw it to the side anywhere along the course line, honestly. And what Disney will do is that they will take that and they will actually donate those clothes to charity. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. For the race, you do have to keep a 16-mile-minute pace. That is the requirement. They will start tracking that once the last people cross the finish line. So the people in the very last corral, whoever's at the very end of the last corral, they will start tracking that 16-mile-minute there. So the closer you are to corral A, the more time you're going to have to finish the race. And you'll have a little bit of leeway to like stop and meet characters and things like that. And the people who cross the start line last are the balloon ladies, the famous balloon ladies. They literally have balloons and they're really nice and very encouraging. Like if you ever see them, they'll be like encouraging you to come on and keep going. But of course, if you do fall behind, they'll have to escort you off of the course and back, you know, to the start line, I believe, or maybe the finish line. Either way, they'll escort you off of the course. So just be on the lookout. Whenever you see those balloon ladies, that means that you gotta pick up the pace a little bit. All right, I mentioned characters briefly, but yes, it wouldn't be a Disney race if it didn't have Disney characters. This is what makes it a Disney race. They will have lines for characters that you can stop and take pictures with. You can take them on your phone. They will have photographers there taking pictures. So and I will say this, the characters along the races are unique characters. Like I know for those races that run through like the World Showcase, I've heard that you can meet Abu in Morocco, and you never meet Abu, guys. What? Like, hopefully that is the case whenever I run a race that does go through the World Showcase. But anyway, at any routes. They have very unique characters. I met the genie in his vacation outfit when I did the half marathon. So that's just a little, like, some examples. You got that they also had Cinderella and Prince Charming during that. So just a bunch of different unique characters. They also have music along the way, Disney music, of course. You know, they might play Beauty and the Beast running through the France Pavilion in Epcot. I mean, it's just very magical. That's all what makes it a Disney race. It makes it really fun. They have big projections of different, like, movie scenes. It's very cool how they put the whole thing together. And of course, the people cheering people on, like the cheer squad, and there'll be people along the course just cheering you on. And I remember I spectated for the marathon that I didn't run, but I was cheering people on, like, and when I ran the half marathon, it was nice to have people cheering you on. It just it really warms your heart to know that people are out there, like, encouraging you, that you don't even know, that are encouraging you to keep going. And yes, because it is difficult, so it's nice to have that energy booster. And along with that, while we're on energy boosters, they do have water stops along the way so you can refill water. And I had a Nathan hand held water bottle that would just wrapped around my hand and wrist. I would highly recommend that because you can always refill it and it's always with you. And you don't have to worry about, you can always refill it, whatever. So that's kind of a tip. But also they do give you, like, I remember them giving us these energy jelly beans, and that really helped because I was at a point when I was getting really hungry. It was toward the end of the race. I noticed myself getting hungry and I was like, oh crap. But as soon as that point hit, they were in there with the jelly beans and it gave me just the energy I needed to finish the race. So they'll give you those little things along the way to help you out. So, and also they do have the porta potties along the way if you want to use the bathroom. I will say if you're running through, like, Magic Kingdom or Epcot, or, you know, when you run through the parks, you can stop and use the bathroom at the bathrooms in there. So I would try to wait to do that because, number one, the lines for porta potties can be just as long as meeting a character. And, you know, if you're worried about time or you care about your time, then you might want to, like, forego trying to use the bathroom at a porta potty. Of course, I mean, if you have to go, you gotta do what you gotta do. But if you can, then try to go to a bathroom that is within the parks because those are obviously clean and, you know, you can use them. So highly recommend that. All right, I mentioned photos, taking photos. They do have the Disney Photo Pass people out there, which makes it even the best thing ever. So when you do your race, you need to purchase the memory maker so that your race photos, you can get your race photos. You can download them for free and all of that. You have instant access to your race photos, and you have to buy them individually, which is very expensive. Don't do that. So if you're running a race, more than anything, you really need to purchase the memory maker so that all of your race photos will be included. And if you're an annual pass holder, then obviously your photo pass stuff is included. And then of course at the finish line, you can take pictures and you get a box filled with goodies like Go-Go Squeeze, applesauce, I think, banana, water, things to refuel you, of course. And if you purchase the race retreat, that's when you can go back in there, collect your belongings, and get out of there, head to your resort or whatever. So yeah, and that's a place where they also have photo pass people taking your photo. Yeah, it's very fun. A very big tip is to have fun and dress up. People dress up and people go all out. So you don't have to, but I think it's fun to just dress up. And normally there's a theme for each race. So maybe Minnie Mouse typically has been a theme for like the 10K for the Walt Disney World Marathon weekend. So you can dress up as Minnie Mouse, but of course you can dress up as whoever you want to. I would just encourage you to dress up and have some fun with it. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. I love Run Disney races, and I will say that if you are not a runner, the 16-minute mile requirement shouldn't worry you at all. It's not a fast time at all. You could I know people who've walked it, so yeah, you can definitely do it for sure. I would highly recommend it. You definitely need to try it out for sure. So don't let the fact that, don't say I'm not a runner. First of all, speak positivity in your life. You can be and you are a runner, all right? If you say you're not a runner, then you're not a runner. Words are very powerful. So I would just really consider doing it. And let me know in the comments below if you've ever done Run Disney Race, which one, and how you enjoyed it. Yes, so of course be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can be notified when I post a new video. And I think that's it. And I hope y'all have a magical day.